not the bad ways.
Well, we have to get him to start speaking in the third person.
Yes, I mean, and
I mean,
Zlatan and Yaniv. I mean, you could talk about Yaniv in the first person. I think that'd be
or
pretty good.
first person, yeah, third person,
Yeah,
Yeah.
or the seventh,
or the
I
third
mean,
person. Yeah,
third first. Anyway, he's talking about himself. He really is. Here we are again, episode 15 of United Green, season 1. I think we're still in, right? We're still in season 1. We're calling it season 1. It's the end of the season. So it's season 1, episode 15. Today we have with us Mr. I'm gonna go do whatever I want and ditch my friends and go have fun in other places. And I'm not talking about the guy in green and white. I'm talking about the guy in the blue kit to the right of myself on my screen. And I'm probably on yours, it looks like, too. So Will, welcome back. I thought you were just out there big timing us, and you were just gonna not show back up again because you're doing all kinds of cool things. What's going on?
yeah. Just got back from the Arsenal Man United game, so I am insufferable now. But people would probably say I was insufferable before that. So happy to be here.
Sweet. And then we have, of course, the man with the handsomer beard than mine. And he's got that cool green and white kit. He's got better glasses and a better haircut than me. There he is, our returning champion, Tyson. What's going on, man?
Well, I thought you were taking pot shots at me because last weekend I was up in Montreal, where Tyler, the creator, is now. And we were going to record this pod yesterday, but I was getting fitted for a suit for my wedding. So that took priority.
I think it does take priority.
As it does. Well, and congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you.
And we'll give you that just one opportunity to
Just
ditch
the
us. Yeah. Never again. So we had a discussion last week, Tyler and I, with Brian McLaughlin. It was a great discussion. Great episode. I wish you guys had been there. But we kind of discussed the last game. We got his final thoughts at the end of the season, because he wasn't going to be back with us this week. So I don't know if you guys have anything to talk about the last game and the atmosphere there. I see Tyson's changed his name to Where's the Beard shampoo. That's correct. There's a certain member of our club that owes us a beard shampoo for dumping maple syrup all over our faces and in our beards. But if you guys have anything to say about that last game, the atmosphere, you just want to jump into like end of the year stuff.
Well, I just want to say on the last game, I think it really goes to show how far we've come. I'm sure you guys talked about it, last week, but, last game, dead rubber, we're not going anywhere. We had a sellout crowd, and then we had a rain delay. And you wouldn't have been surprised if people started filing out then. But, we waited about an hour, and stadium was full. People were there. People were there to support. And I think that, hey, we're not making the playoffs this year, and it's a bummer. But, to see that groundswell continue to grow, it's fantastic. And, had to rush to get that season ticket before they were released to the general public, because I'm not going to miss any games next season either. So happy to have that done.
And, I will echo what Will said. And, it dead rubber, terrible weather for the first part of that game. Again, you would not fault anyone for not wanting to sit through that experience, but just to look around from where we were standing in, the southern part of the stands and just see a full stand behind us, and, just be able to look to your right and see the full stand. It's awesome to see. It's wonderful. And knowing that, listening to the pod that you guys did last week, it was so nice. I listened to it twice. One of the things that you guys were talking about was the fact that, yes, we didn't make it into the playoffs this year, but by almost every other conceivable metric, the Green did better than we did last year. we won more games, we scored more goals, we gave up fewer goals, we had a better points tally than we did when we made the playoffs last year. It's, you know, you win some, you lose some. In the USL2, it is a fickle playoff league. So the last game was great. Loved the players getting to come up and do a virtue leap with us, and love seeing Space Ghost and Western Mass crash out in the first round of the playoffs. So woo!
I mean, that's always good, you know.
You know, I had my stuff that I talked about last week, but so we don't have to get into rehashing what I think, but let's get into this end of the year stuff. We're just gonna go through some fun questions, and talk about where we've been, where we started, and where we're going, and what to expect for the future. So we're just gonna start off. First question is favorite player of the year and why. And I'm going to start off with Will.
Favorite player of the year and why? It's tough because, I think this would have been an easy question at the start of the season, because I think the obvious answer was, good work, Diarby and Nathan Messer. Obviously I really like Messer from last season, but I had to say, just from, starting almost every game, to the flexibility, I think it has to be Musa and I just think that what he offered at the back end of the pitch, the stability and just showing up for every game and whatever position was needed, it was great to watch. And I really think that the fans really took a liking to him. So, having that reliability was really great. So I definitely think it would have to be him.
I think of Musa's like, I spoke to him after that last game. He doesn't have the best English, and he understands, but he doesn't speak it, and isn't really able to get his feelings across. But you could tell after that goal, like, what he was feeling, and how he felt about playing here, and it just seemed like somebody like him just adjusted so easily to where we are, to this area of the country, and to his teammates and to the game. Like, that dude is going places, and I'd be happy if he found a home in another league higher than what we have to provide him with.
Yeah, he definitely feels like he could go into higher leagues. I think the body type as well, just being as large as he was, he's on the top end of players in our league as far as sizing, from what I could tell. So, I think he'd fit in at a higher level. But, it was great to have him, really. And, to see him score that goal, you could tell how much it meant.
Yeah. Dyson, your turn.
I am going to go with a player who might not necessarily show up on the score sheet, but he is, in my mind, and kind of not just this year, but last year, and kind of every year, I'll always just remember him as basically, the work engine of the Vermont Green, and that is Bilal Kamal. He, 2 full seasons with us, no goals. He has the odd assist thrown in there, but he is the one who provides that kind of first dangerous breakout pass to either a winger making a run, to a fullback who's going up the touch line, to be able to put the ball into a dangerous situation where Bazzini or someone else can go and get on it. And like I said, he doesn't necessarily have, some of the gaudier stats like some of our other attacking players have, but he, to my mind, is kind of the like I said, he's the engine. He's the guy who drives everything forward for the Green.
He's a fantastic talent. He's what we used to call, when Lucas was doing his thing when he first joined Tottenham, we would call him the chaos merchant. His dribbling ability, his ability to draw defenders, and open up spaces. I really, and he's a great personality too. he's got kind of that funny smile, and the way his hair bounces around. I think it's kind of funny. He does those interviews and stuff on the Instagram and that kind of stuff. And he's just got a smile too. That like, I know goals and stuff stuff probably means a lot to him, but I think the success of the team means just as much, if not more, to a guy like that, and invaluable player. For me, I started off my season big Zach Zenga fan, and I didn't waver from that. I'm a fan of midfielders typically, um, but for my money this year, I have to go with Musa. And it took a while, and then right around the Sea Goats game, the away Sea Goats game, it started to kind of creep in how valuable the dude is. And it's in his pairing back there with Nate Jones, and it just, the two of them clicked. The second that Musa got thrown into the back with Nate Jones, and when Nate came, they clicked. And I think that was a big deal. Nate with his calmness on the ball, Musa with, he steps up, puts in hard tackles, good tackles. He makes smart decisions on the ball with his passing. He's able to push forward and play a higher line. And I know, I think a couple weeks ago I called him the straw that stirs the drink, and he really became that guy for us. And obviously Zach for me is my favorite, fun player to watch. The guy gets under balls. He plays in the box. He can play outside the box. He had a couple of really nice goals outside the box this year. And then honorable mention, of course, goes to Bazzini, who really stepped in a time of kind of extreme need, and played that big man up front. So, but for me, it's definitely Musa, Zach, and then honorable mention goes to Yaniv.
I just want to throw it out there that Nacho Larach, he could score a goal. He really could, and I think that, he was a great addition to the team.
My daughter's a huge fan of Nacho, like favorite player, easily. I mean, she would without hesitation say that. And she's also becoming quite the super fan for the teams. So we will appreciate her in the next coming years here, because she's gonna hopefully start up the junior boys and junior Green Mountain boys, or whatever we're going to call them, or she wants to call them, and get some of the youth involved too, not just the young soccer players in the area, but maybe some teenagers she can influence around the area too, and get everybody involved and get more folks coming to the games and shouting up the green. So moving on, favorite game. And I'll start with Tyson.
The favorite game is tricky, because I just want to say, apart from the game against Sea Salt, literally every single home game, give me a home game. They're so good. But kind of for I and this is maybe cliche of me to say, or no, not cliche, but it's still the one that maybe it's just recency bias, but it still just sticks in my mind. Our last game, the home finale, just being able to send the players out with a great performance by them, for the fans to be able to show our appreciation of everything that they've done throughout the year. It's just a great feeling. It was a great performance by them against a admittedly terrible Boston team, but that's kind of what you want for your home finale. You want some fireworks, you want some fun. What about you, Will?
I'm going to rank this for how I felt at the time because of the context of where we are at the season. It was the home game against AC Connecticut. We were still in the hunt for the playoffs. We're very much in it. We were leading the pack at this point. We're sort of all understanding that you have to win every single game from here on to make the playoffs. And we went down early in the first half to that screamer from outside the box. We all go down 1-0. We're all really feeling it in the stands. We're starting to panic. And I just remember D'Agostini flying down the left and putting this absolute curler onto the post and into the net. And the cheering from that goal, to get right back into it after watching this wonder goal go in the title fight, was probably the best moment of the season for me. And so that game really, sticks in the mind because we ended up 6-3. It was an absolute thriller against a team we didn't really know a lot about because we played them once last season away. So, to have this mystery team come in that we know have gotten results and to have it be a 9-goal game, during the thick of the title hunt. I mean, it was a really, really great time,
I actually agree with both of you on those, and I wanted to say like every home game, but
well, yeah, that is true. Every home game as well. Yeah.
So I'm gonna say that I loved the Boston Bolts game, and I think it was kind of the ascendancy of Bazzini, right? That was like his hat trick, right? He had the hat trick, and we talked about it, Tyson. We had 3 absolutely different goals, and it showed his versatility, right? That game for me was probably the most fun, and it really solidified for me like what we had in this team. And I think that's like the team that played the rest of the season under a lot of stress, because of that. Like at that time we had the loss to Seacoast and we had the loss to Western Mass, but we were still holding top of the table, and that was like the beginning, and we saw what this team was going to end up at. And it's really a shame that just like the 3 losses that would really just ruin a season like that. Like 3 losses should not knock you out of a playoff spot in any stretch. But for me, Boston Bolts, it was a thoroughly dominant game. Felipe was huge in that game. I loved that. Was easily my favorite game. So now we're moving along. I'd kind of like to ask, we have our group of Green Mountain boys. We had a lot of parking lot, a lot of fun in the parking lot and that kind of stuff. But what did you guys feel from last year to this year as far as like, the Green Mountain boys are always going to show up, but did you feel any difference in fan interaction from last year to this year, and how did you perceive like the fans being built throughout the season?
I think the one thing I'd say is that, the start of last season, we were kind of the group in the parking lot. And then by the end of it, you saw that there were other people joining in, doing other things in the parking lot. But now when you see the parking lot, there are, tons of parties. There's tons of people having, there are different hangouts with their friends that they're coming to the game with. And I think that, that's great to see. It's really becoming, this group event. So I think that just generally there's a growing dedicated fan base that's, making sure they're coming out with their friends, they're hanging out in the parking lot beforehand. It's great to see that we're not the only people out there.
And, Will basically echoed, kind of my exact same observation that I was having kind of throughout the years, that, last year, throughout not the entirety, but the majority of every single home game, the boys were really the only ones who were there kind of in a big group. We do our tailgate, and, we're there like hour and a half before the game starts. And it felt kind of at first, like the first couple of times we did it, that all the other people who are kind of coming in were, just kind of looking at us being like, oh, who are these, weirdos who are here tailgating for a non-professional soccer team, in a league that in the greater scheme of things doesn't really matter that much. But throughout almost the entire year this season, you could, look out from the garage, right at the entrance where we park. And like Will said, there are all these different groups of families and friends meeting up before a game, tailgating, hanging out with each other. And, as people are walking past where we're all parked, everyone's always, friendly, saying, hey. It just feels like such a bigger community. And it's like, these are fans who were with us last year and, fell in love with it just like we did. And it's new fans who are coming to Virtue, getting to experience these games. And, it's just this fan base that's building up and building up. And like Will said, I got my ticket I got my 2 season tickets right when they came out, because you can mark my words, we are going to have even more sellouts than we did last year. We have to have more sellouts than we did last year because it was raining in almost every single goddamn game this entire summer. So that's kind of, in my mind, the thing that sticks out the most.
Yeah, and just to wrap on that, I think that, with something with USL2, really what is the most important thing, because it's the fans, because we're the ones who are guaranteed here every season. And so have the strong fan base guarantees we can bring in strong players in such a transigent league. So I think it's such a great thing to see how strong this is getting. And now with the rumors coming out, there may be promotion in the future in the USL. It's good that we're growing so that we could potentially chase that goal. So
Yeah, I was talking to a couple of the founders last night, went down to Vivid Coffee to watch the women's game, and got to talk with Patrick and Sam. And my only regret this season for myself was that I only bought 2 season tickets. I know I still have the opportunity to buy another one, but I only bought 2. But now knowing what my daughter's commitment to this, I think I'm gonna have to go out and buy a third. But like throughout the season, what I saw compared to last season with the fan base, last year was cool because it kind of organically grew. And like you guys said, we're bringing in new fans now. I think last year, there was a lot of the families of kids in the soccer programs and stuff around the area, right? It was a lot of hardcore soccer fans. I think as that season grew, it kind of grew a lot of word of mouth organically. There's still people out there that I talk to who don't know what Vermont Green is, but that's fine. But it kind of grew organically, and at the end of the season you saw what could happen for this season. And for this season, I think that we had that same group of folks, but we're adding new people in because word of mouth is, and growing something grassroots, through a grassroots kind of way, is something that's big in the state of Vermont anyway, whether it's through politics or whether it's through new businesses and that kind of stuff, and local businesses. I think that Vermont Green is no exception to that. And I think that you're finding more people in the area becoming interested in soccer because of what Vermont Green is doing. And you're going to see that really spill over, I think, into the fall when the Catamounts get on the field. And I hope that those folks and those new fans don't expect to see the same type of game. They're gonna get to see a wildly different game. The NCAA game is a lot different. The rules are different. regarding subs and the way that the clock counts and that kind of stuff. But the game plays a little differently too. It's not as always wide open. There's a lot of I wouldn't say that the quality of the game is lesser, but it's just a different game to watch. It's not necessarily as fast, and the passes aren't as crisp and clean, but it will still be a fun game to watch. And I hope that everybody gets out and catches some catamount games. And I think that that's what Vermont Green is doing is growing the soccer community. And I think that's a lot of the differences that I saw last year was like it was growing, and now it's like we have a base and it's going to, it's starting to blossom a little bit. So thoughts for next season. What do you guys expect? Do you expect a lot of returning players? Do you expect a lot of a lot of turnover? Do you expect any expansion of our concessions, of our merch booths, of our sponsorships? Like, what are you guys expecting to see next year? Not necessarily just out of from a football perspective, but like from the club perspective. What do you want to see, or what do you expect?
Well, I think they improved on their concessions remarkably from last year. So
God damn.
if they
I
can
still didn't
improve
get
on
my
that even more, I mean, nothing can be better.
I
So
still didn't get my goddamn cheesesteak because it was fucking raining every game.
yeah, I mean, the rain really did put a damper on it. But I think in general, having food trucks there and having, more beer options and drink options there is great. I do think them being so good at merch is hurting my wallet, but that's nothing new with football. So, they've just put out so much cool gear this year. But I also think having, the one thing that'll always stand out to me, what they improved on this year as far as concession, was those free waves from Burlington Beer Company. I think I had like 30 of them over the season. That hot sparkling water, oh, so good. You just walk in and give you 2 cans, and it was the greatest thing.
It's super refreshing.
Yeah, it was
I
good.
actually have a 4-pack in my fridge right now.
Yeah, but I think if we continue to improve on that fan experience, it'll just add more reason for people to want to go. Even outside being hardcore football fans, people like going where there's nice concessions. So I think it'll help continue to grow.
It's a comfort factor, right? It makes people comfortable to be in a place where, the inaugural season was a little different. We had the UVM concessions, and they were still there. There were still hot dogs and stuff the kids could get, and that kind of stuff, nachos and whatever. But there was also those the great food trucks that came in, like you said. And I think the fan experience is a big part of it. I think that as close as we can get to a carnival atmosphere, I think is friggin' awesome. I hope that there's more things for the kids to do in the back next year. Because you see a lot of kids wandering around, running around. I mean, they're kids; they're not going to sit in the same place for, an hour and a half and watch a soccer game. But some will. But I think that if they continue to grow, we're going to have to expand the space that the club uses, and I think part of that is got to be a lot of work has to be done with UVM to kind of coax them into expanding the stands, expanding the area in and around the field, so that fan experience can grow. And because it's going to directly affect the product that the UVM Catamounts put onto the field every single match and every single day when they go out there and train. And this community appreciates and will support any kind of growth from either on either end of that spectrum.
Oh, and I completely agree. And honestly, I know that it's literally just the section or just the space that's behind the stands at Virtue Field. But what it reminds me a lot of is the area that's kind of directly behind the stadium up in Montreal. The Stade Saputo has kind of the exact same layout. on obviously a much bigger scale. It's the big open stands, and then right behind and underneath, it's all the concessions, it's your merch, it's, the activities for the kids, things like that. And, they, like Mike, like you said, there are not that many kind of other things for the kids to do. They've got the, easily set upable little mini goals for kids to go and kick around at. Plink was doing some kind of fun giveaways where they were having kids try and volley a ball a bunch, and you could get, a free Plink thing to go and drink while you were there at the game. So I do think that that's something that I'm sure could be improved on, easily improved on. But I think that, we have to remember, again, this is only the second season that the Green have been in existence. The at the game experience has, to my mind, kind of improved exponentially since the first season. These are all guys who have never run a soccer club before. They're learning as they're going along too, all of the owners. And, we saw some amazing things in terms of marketing, in terms of new merch, fun sponsors. They continued their practice of last year of bringing in great organizations and causes to come and talk in front of the fans every halftime. I hope that they continue doing that as well, and I'm sure that they will. Throwing in, a thought about players, I think that Will had said that, this is it's a transient league. You're going to get crazy turnover of players every single year, and that's just kind of to be expected. I would love it if some of the younger players like Thread Gold, if he can come back, if some of our other younger, either freshmen or sophomores in the college ranks could be with us again next year, that would be great. But I think that the Vermont Green diaspora is going to hit all of these colleges like Crichton, like Washington State, like all of these other places where these players come from, and they're going to be talking about the experience that they had this summer in Burlington with this team. And I think that we're going to be a hot ticket. We're going to be a place where players really want to come. And I think that that can do nothing but benefit us in the future.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Tyson. This club is, like I said, I wasn't necessarily bitching about the kids' experience, but
Oh yeah, no, I know
no. I'm just saying, like, these guys have done so much in terms of growing the club through the fan experience, and like you said, it's grown exponentially. Like, it went from being just like the area where you go get beer and food, so maybe some merch, to like a concourse area. Do you have like 45 cats? I'm just wondering. Because you just keep throwing them.
No, it's the one cat. He won't leave me alone.
It's like he's got like a clown car of cats that he just keeps.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just the one. We're doing the same thing.
I didn't know if we were maybe stuck in the matrix somewhere. There's a glitch. But I think that these guys have this insane vision, but they know that like the way that Burlington works is based on community, and that community like is going to grow the club, and it's going to make this a desirable place for other players to come. And it's like we expanded into Washington this year, right? We expanded into California. We had players coming from Minnesota. Like, so I mean, it can only grow from there. You're going to see a lot of these guys who would typically go to a club like like a Chicago City, or go down to New York, or go down to Miami and play with those teams, or Virginia Beach and play, you know, play with those clubs down there. And, those are desirable places to be in the summer. Of course, you want to be in the city. You want to be, in Florida or on the beach, right? I mean, you can't do anything about Space Ghost. They call themselves the Sea Coast, but they're really not. They're in Epping. They're far enough away that I'm sorry, you can't call yourself the Sea Coast. Yeah, now they're just going to be the Peacoats. Um, so we have a draw, and the draw is the fan base, the draw is the community, the draw is the fervor for soccer in this city and in this state. You're seeing the women's team grow down south. Like it's there's a big groundswell here for soccer in the Northeast and in this state, especially. And you're going to see those people that are traditionally going to those other bigger teams coming here now. We might be getting a little bit of a side eye right now, and people are going, "Oh, look what's going on over there." But like eventually, in the next couple of years, you're going to see all the big players coming here, and if we as fans don't keep it up, whether we're in the playoffs, in the playoff hunt, or we're mid-table, I mean, that shit's going to happen too. It's just bound to happen. We as fans have to keep up and show that we love our club no matter what, no matter where they finish in the table. And the good thing is, we're not going to get relegated. Boston City's still around, so
Well,
It still
Alley of
blows
the
my
season.
mind that they were fourth. Boston City was fourth last year, and they
yeah,
were atrocious this year.
yeah. I mean, and those are the things that can happen. But we as fans have to stick with our club,
Yeah.
Um, so that said, I mean, can we get on to talking about what players we expect to come back?
Will, you want to take this one?
I genuinely don't know. I mean, we did have players come back this season, obviously, like Pacella, Herrera. We had Schnurr come back, Christopherson come back. But because I don't have it in front of me, I don't know their ages. I don't know if players like that will be back. So I think it really depends on players we saw for the first time this season, if they come back. I'd really like to see Bazzini come back. Again, he may have higher aspirations, but I'd like to see what he could do playing a full season, because I really only feel like we got him for like the back third of the season. And that guy could really score goals. And I definitely think striker was, there was no real settled player to striker until Bazzini came along as a first choice. So I think that I'd like to see him back. Will we see him back? I don't know. So I'll kind of answer the question there. So
For me, I don't necessarily think we're going to see Nate Jones. I don't think we're going to see Musa. We might see Nate Jones. I'd like to see Gabe back. I'd like to see. We probably are not going to see Gavork come back. Maybe he'll come back for another appearance, but I doubt it. He kind of probably even surprised himself this year. Felipe may have an opportunity to come back. Who knows what his college season is gonna do for him this year? He's transferred up to Syracuse, one of our hated rivals. And I'd like to see Zach Zengay back. But I think we have some talented kids, that are able to come in and play, who maybe didn't get a lot of playing time this year, and there was one kid that kind of stuck out in the game that we played against. It was the friendly game we played against Kingston Stockade, the St. Louis. That he was fantastic in that game, and I know he didn't have a lot of minutes, and he's a young kid. But there's always those young kids that are in the squad but don't get that playing time. We have a lot of those young kids who are gonna come up out of nowhere that we maybe didn't know were still with the club. or actually, who actually were with the club. We knew they're just kind of one tier down from where they need to be to break the 11. I really don't know. Like you said, I don't know who's going to be back. It's gonna be a difficult one to kind of predict, but I think there's going to be, again, this coming year, there's going to be a good mix of kids coming back. Nacho said he told me he's coming back.
It's great.
I'd love to see him back. I mean,
he said, "I'll see you next year. I will bring you beard shampoo from Europe." He said.
I mean, and also, I love to see, Ollie Martin get some more runouts. He looked really good in the friendly.
He had some exciting play too.
Yeah, he's got the same flowing locks, just like Zenge and Kamal. We can go and keep that up.
The all hair team,
right? The green fit well up there in the all hair team, along with Diarbian, D'Agostini, some wonderful flowing locks. And honestly, I'm looking forward to where the green get to a point where, yes, we are drawing in talent from all over the country, from players who are coming from a bunch of different colleges, a bunch of different regions. That's great. I want to see more also homegrown talent like Ollie Martin be able to, come through their home state team. I think that that's a great opportunity for the youth soccer teams that are here in the state. I'm sure that there is some kid who's at Far Post or at any of the Nordic teams who are looking at the green and saying, hey, I could play for them. I would love to play for them. And I think that that's a really awesome thing for Vermont to have. To have the green like as something to as a place to aspire to be able to play at. And I don't know, that warms the cockles of my cold dead heart.
Well, I'd also say that I think that they've earned some faith in the team building. We've had 2 seasons in a row where these guys really know how to draft a team, and now that you think they're just going to get more opportunity and flexibility as to who they want to build a team with, I think it's, we were really excited coming into this season about who they were going to get and what team they're going to build, and they showed us they could do it. So I think we should be really excited about what we're going to see next season. I think we can have that outlook that things, just keep raising the hype level here. I think that we're going to see some really cool things next season, hopefully.
Yeah, and hopefully we don't have too much coaching turnover. I know that there's a possibility that that Coach Davis moves on from the green, but I'm sure that Coach Pfeiffer has a lot of good young coaches who are hungry and who want to get out there and train this team. Maybe even we might eventually get to a point where we have alumni coming back to coach in the team and to kind of get their start in coaching through the green and through the USL too. That would be kind of neat. But we're getting to the end of our time together, folks. This has been a fun discussion. We got to talk about where we were, where we are, and where we're going. So I guess from there we just got to kind of give our sign offs and call it a night. So anybody want to start with their final thoughts?
I just say I don't know when we'll see you guys again, but we'll have some fun things to do this off season and get some more content out there. But until then, up the green.
Yeah, as is tradition, up the green. West Ham still haven't signed anyone this year, so I'm still looking back at the Vermont Green season fondly. The U.S. women are in the World Cup. They, eked out that draw against the Netherlands last night. But I believe that we've already made it into the knockouts. So what one?
Yeah. Portugal beat Vietnam.
Portugal. Yes, Portugal.
Win.
So we need to draw.
That's going to be a good game. I am very excited for that game.
We need to draw to advance, and a win gives us the opportunity to take the group. But
yes, but watch the Women's World Cup. It's awesome. Support all of those players. They have won more than any of the men. They are great. They are awesome.
And shout out to Lindsay Horan getting in a fight and scoring the tying goal yesterday.
Yeah,
an all-time recent memorable moment is her.
She kept her head. She kept her head and used her anger to score a goal.
Fighting with Van de Donk about a dirty challenge, and then scoring that header was such a great moment.
That Dutch player is her teammate on
their
her
teammates, their teammates,
which makes it even better.
Couldn't be surprised. She's a former Arsenal player, so of course she would.
But well, I mean, that's okay. We have a former Tottenham player on the good guy side, so there you go. Alex Morgan is a former Tottenham player. But for my final thoughts, I'm excited to continue to bring you guys content. Hopefully in the off season, we're going to try and maybe put some stuff out, maybe once a month until we get ramped up again, get going. We have a good interview, hopefully maybe next week lined up for you guys. We'll see how it works out. And on the other side of that, summer's still cooking, the weather's still shit, but it can turn in a second. Everybody, the world is crazy out there right now. So I just want everybody to make sure that that they're looking out for each other and be safe and up the green.